Well, it was in those days. It was said that there were 3 Jewish communities in Finland, all very different. Why 3? Because during the Swedish times, Jews were allowed to be only in 3 cities in Sweden, and when the Russians took over, the Finns adopted the same principle as during the Swedish realm, and Jews were allowed only in 3 cities, except of course for the Jewish soldiers who were wherever they were stationed. But civilians were allowed only in Turku, in Viipuri, and in Helsinki. And they all turned out very differently. It was always said that Turku is the most religious Jewish city in Finland. It was not that religious, but it was very keen on tradition, and also, keeping kosher was something very natural for every Jewish family. Keeping your stores closed for Shabbos was also something. And Viipuri was the most cultural city, where Yiddish was spoken until the very end. And Helsinki was the city of the Narinkes. They were small kind of shops open where Jews sold their own goods. These Jews were very poor because they weren't allowed to do anything else in that. And certain places in Helsinki. And there's still something called Narinkkatori in the very center of Helsinki.
Did your father talk about his childhood, his
he
life
talked a lot about the community in Viipuri, and he always considered that when he had to move to Turku, it was kind of downgrading of his whole Jewish life because he didn't like the people there. He thought that they were too narrow-minded. He was brought up in the most international city in Finland, with the whole world open, and particularly the Jewish world in the Baltics and even in Russia and all over Europe, particularly Eastern Europe. So he thought that the narrow-mindedness of the Turku Jews was something that he didn't quite accept.